And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Asia number 209. That's a lot of editions, man. A lot of editions, but here we go. We're diving into our first matchup of the night. Welcome, everyone, to your weekly dose of Korean StarCraft. I'm, of course, Host Live VIP. With me, I'm joined by myself, but I will soon be joined later on down the line by another fellow foul creature, another fellow caster. So stay tuned for that as we are getting into our first series. And in the top left-hand corner, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing himself. He's currently teamless, looking for a team. It is DRG. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Clem Slayer himself, the blue Terran player, representing Onside Gaming. It is Ryung. Representing Onside, here we go. And again, it was a pretty intense weekend, a very intense weekend, chock full of StarCraft. We were casting like 9-10 hour days, day after day, and it kept going. it was a brutal weekend of StarCraft, but we have made it. We survived, and the StarCraft continues here on a daily basis, of course, as we are now going to be getting into our first best of 3. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. The bracket is huge, it's big, it's massive. Plenty of players, plenty of high quality StarCraft is upon us. And we are here to feature the MVP of Sunday. The MVP of last night, of course. Ryung did have an amazing performance in World Team League. I highly recommend checking out the VODs because WTL World Team League was crazy, and it was great to see our players just really thrive. Great to see all these players really thriving. Of course, the story of Team Liquid, the matches against Shopify, the matches against Basilisk, and of course Onside as well. So some really solid performances overall. And yeah, I'm happy to cast Ryung, the Tuna Terran, once again. Now, as we get into this, of course, we'll see how we do fare. I do think both these players are comparable to each other. I do think that DRG is a little bit hotter at the moment, especially after his performances in the qualifiers for IEM TvZ. So we'll see. We'll see how these two do turn out and what kind of dynamic we do have, as the first Reaper is going to be getting across the map, and we're going to be dancing with these Lings. DRG looking to maintain his worker count and make sure he doesn't lose too much here to that Reaper. The dance does begin, and the Reaper is going to be zoned away by that Queen. And as we said, Lintus, a big shout to everyone in the chat as well. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo está? Shout out I Stan in the chat. Welcome. Bienvenido. Bienvenido. As well as Zfee as well. Welcome. Here we go. We have our opener. It is going to be a third CC before Stargate. Before Starport. So very economic opener. Very economic here from Ryung. They should be leading into a Starport. There we go. Starport is on the way. We have our add-on swap as well for Hellion production. And from here, we should be getting into Tech Lab and into Cloak Banshees as well. We can go one of two ways. We can start up a Tech Lab, go for the add-on swap, or we can instead go for a Viking and into a Liberator here without any add-ons on the Starport. Instead, start Stim instead of going for the swap. So we'll see what direction we do go in. For the time being, the Reaper is still just dancing between the bases, is going to be threatening a dive into that natural, and so far the Queens are keeping up. So far, so good from DRG. Behind this, we're just droning, saturating our bases, getting our third base up and running. Everything is looking as it should here for Dongregu. We're just looking to react and looking to see what the follow-up is going to be from Ryung, as there it is. We don't go for the add-on swap. The Tech Lab is a little bit later, and we're going for a Viking first instead. Oh! Ling does confirm. The Ling does see the Tech Lab is still in production and that there's no Tech Lab on the Starport. So DRG, he's aware that a Liberator is likely from his opponent, which means we can delay the spores a little bit and throw them down behind the mineral lines instead. As a Hellion is going to be just maneuvering between the bases here. So far, DRG is keeping up. He's able to rotate with these Hellions for the time being. He's going to be droning, saturating his bases. Just saturating his bases as we speak. Meanwhile, across the map, faster Stim, and there's that Liberator that we spoke about. Jimmy is going to be shut down. Now, when it comes to this Liberator, again, DRG should be aware and should be throwing down spores soon to help deal with it. He's being a little bit greedy for the time being, but he has time. He does have time before the Liberator does arrive. Lair is on the way. The aggression is upon us. So the way this works is that Ryung is going to be threatening one base with Hellions, he's going to be threatening the other with the Liberator. There it is. Oh, we know the timing spot be 5 minutes. We have the Spore here at the third, we have the Spore in the main base as well. DRG. He does have all the tools to defend, but it's all about the execution. It's all about whether or not he can deny all these Hellions as we try to dive on top of the Queens. And just like that, one Queen almost goes down. Clutch Transfuse does keep it alive. At the same time, Liberated to the main base. The Spore, though, in position, does fend off the Lib. So far, good defense here from DRG. You can see him immediately repositioning the Spore as well, but the Lib comes in from the front and will get up one drone. We'll get a worker, we'll get some of the lava as well. As Liberator is forced back at the same time. We've got the Vikings sharking around, looking for more Vikings. Looking for more Overlords. Third base has been spotted. Ryung is transitioning into his 5-rack setup. Again, pretty solid setup here on 3 bases. 5 racks, 1 factory, 1 starport. Working towards 1-1 and building himself up here on these 3 bases. And with that, the game will settle. No kind of major losses. Basically, both players were kind of posturing against each other. You can see the units lost tab here. 1 Hellion for a drone, an Overlord, a couple of Lings. Pretty even trade so far. And again, what's important is that Ryung hasn't thrown anything away yet. A lesser player would just A move in and would just send their Hellions into a middle line, regardless of what would be happening. But Ryung is a little bit more tempered. He's a little bit more mature here. Is going to be focusing on just clearing up creep, maintaining these Hellions, keeping them alive for a later push. Now, Hellions, they do kind of lose a lot of effectiveness and they get outscaled as the game goes on. That is true, but Hellbats do have uses when it comes to main army pushes. They can help support the Marines, they can circle a lot of Banelings, or we could even go for a Hellion run by it later on. The drones, they aren't going anywhere. They're always there for you to try to get on top of. Meanwhile, here we go. Ryung is going to be pushing towards the right-hand side. So bearing in mind, he's keeping his Hellions here at his third base, in position for any kind of lane counterattack. We are pushing out with a double drop full of Marines and a full of Widow Mines. Up! They take it first round. They would not get it. Quick moves there out of Ryung. Morphs in those Hellbats, and he will maintain position at the third base. At the same time, he's pushing towards the fourth of DRG. Pushing towards the fourth base. And Widow Mines is going to be going up. Ooh. Does go off on some of the Banelings, no big connections, and the Widow Mines will be shut down. DRG, he does defend. Likewise, here towards the south, we see Ryung pushing once again. There are a handful of Banelings, but not that many. They would do force a cancel. We do force a cancel on those Banelings, but we have the reinforcements coming in, and Ryung, he knows he cannot dive. He clears up creep and backs off. Again, just very careful control here from Ryung. He doesn't want to throw away his army. Just dancing or just dipping his toes. Oof. Into creep. Bit of friendly fire there from that Widow Mine. Ryung is going to be reinforcing. He's pushing towards the north. But DRG, he has enough Lingbane to defend. Plenty of Lingbane. 2-2 is on the way for DRG. The mines! Ooh, big connections on the Lings. We do force a pick up, and there's not enough room. A couple of Marines that will be going down at the same time. We do see Ryung focusing towards the south, but again, we're in position. Not a lot of creep though. A lot of creep. Good splits there from Ryung. Nice pulling back here. Forcing the Banes to connect with those Hellbats. At the same time, we do have a massive counterattack. DRG, he's had enough defending. The Lings, they bust into the natural. We bust into the third base as well. The middle line is going to be going down. That's going to be 29, 30 SCVs falling, and Ryung, he's racing back home. He turns everything back around, but alas, it looks like there's just too much here. 32 SCVs. 2 mineral lines go down. And DRG does evacuate. He's making Lingbane back at home to defend against a counterattack. Ryung is pretty all in. Ryung, he's down to 40 SCVs. It's all or nothing here for the Korean Terran. And DRG is just amassing an army back at home. The longer this goes on, the better it is for the Zerg player. Behind this, Hive is done. Adrenal's on the way. Would you have the Hydrogen, as well as potentially Vipers as well. DRG working towards Lingbane Hydra. Working towards some anti-air. And Ryung, he has a mountain to climb here. He's got so much to try to come back from. As he moves out at the same time, another Lingbane counterattack. We hit the third base. Not the best use of Lingbane. As Widow Mines do go off, but Ryung, he does turn back around once again. That was almost a kill in the CC. Ryung, he is trying to recover. He's producing as many workers as he can. He's not going all in. He is, but he's making he's trying to recover. He's trying to get into a longer game. Bold move here out of Ryung, but I mean, at this stage, like, DRG's maxed out. Like, we can't really double down and go for an all in. Not anymore. Enough time has passed. Here we go. We have a mine drop here towards the north. At the same time, Ryung pushing towards the south. We'll get on top of this hatchery. He's going to be forcing a cancel. Not too bad. The creep also not ideal here for DRG. It's connecting the bases, yes, but it's barely halfway across the map. There's potential here for Ryung. As Ryung is on the cusp of maxing out. His economy is still in shambles, and we're relying heavily here on mules to try to stay afloat. But if Ryung can take a good fight, if we can establish a 5th base, then we can start cooking. There we go. Lead main going to be rolling forward. Ooh, mine shot's going to be going off as well. Decent connections. But numbers-wise, it's just not enough here for Ryung. He's being forced back. The Bailings! They're crashing in. Up! And they don't connect with the Marines, but they connect with the Mineral Line. 6 SCVs go down. The Hydra's behind this as well. A bit of an overextension from DRG, but at the same time, Lings a flood into the natural. Workers are going down. Across the map, we do have a mine drop, 7 drones. Not too bad, but this still pales in comparison to what we're losing across the map, even forcing some friendly fire. Friendly fire was forced. Ryung, he's trying to hold on here, and he does hold on to 34 workers, even less than what he was left with last time. Down to 34 SCVs. Again, it's still all or nothing for Ryung as he's pushing out. DRG is remaxing. Like, he's done a great job here at harassing, forcing back the army, and just comfortably remaxing every single time. He already has a standing army here to receive the counterattack. DRG going to be pushing. Wouldn't mind Sam forward. Up. Decent mine connections. Ooh. Much better mine connection there towards the end. At the same time, another link counterattack. DRG, he has the supply. He has the supply to attack, to defend, and to do it all. The 3rd base has been broken. We're collapsing on the army. We do take down a full medevac. And we're pushing towards the natural. We do have plenty of... Oh, man, that's a lot of reinforcements. That's... Ay. Like, Ryung, he has a decent army. He does force back the forces of DRG. He's trying to get his 4th base up and running. No mining whatsoever here at the 3rd. And DRG now working on 3-3. Widow mines are being dealt with. There's a Lunker Den on the way. Oh, hey, there's the lip from the early game. It's still there. Let's go. Shout out to Ryung for not going for the all-army hockey. There's no F2A move here, clearly. I mean, oh, actually, it's Siege. My apologies. It could have been. It is Siege. Here we go. Mine shot's going to be going up. Bailey's, they crash into the army. The Widow mines, they are going to be cleaned up as well. The Hydras on their own, they are not ideal as Lings bust into the natural. And yeah, there it is. GG gets called. There's just not enough left to go on, and DRG will take game number 1. Whew. GG, well played. A solid game there from DRG. Whew. Able to take a lead in this series, and again, things were pretty close. Things were pretty neck and neck, is maybe a better way of putting it. Things were pretty neck and neck here between these 2 players, but it all fell apart for Ryung when he was pushing towards the north and south. Remember, he was pushing on 2 ends, and DRG at first was able to keep up, was able to stabilize, and then had the free supply to counterattack as well, and he was able to find his way into the natural and the 3rd base while Ryung was out of position, right? Ryung, he was out on the map. He had nothing at home to defend, and we had a massive lane bane counterattack, and DRG just got out of control. He killed, what, over 30 SCVs? He did an insane... It was, I think, 32 workers went down. It was insane how much economic damage DRG was able to achieve there with that counterattack, and that set him up for success. It was in that moment where, again, Ryung didn't see the counterattack, didn't see the run-by, wasn't in position for it, and did fall in the end. GG, well played. And with that, DRG was able to take that lead, run with it, hold on to it, extend it, and take the win. And now we're getting into game number 2. Game 2 going to be on Solaris. Here we go. Going to We'll be diving into Solaris here. See if Ryung can fight back. Again, what I will say about that last game is that there wasn't really anything like that DRG was able to clearly have an edge over Ryung. It all just came down to the counterattack. That run by. Like, that run by just ended the game in a way. Like, it got out of control. It definitely did get out of control, and after that moment, it was just a rough road to recovery there from Ryung. So difficult to come back after losing so many SCVs. And here we go. Now we're getting into game number 2 and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing himself. He's currently teamless, looking for a team. It is DRG. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player, the red Terran representing Onside. It is Ryung. Again, Ryung, aka the Clan Slayer, he is here. He has arrived, and of course his speciality is TvT. Like, he has some of the best TvT in the world, but his other matchups are where he is lacking a little bit, and what he has to work on and improve upon. He said it himself during the interview last night after Onside did win, after his successes, did mention that he wasn't really satisfied with his play, that he knew that he can do better, and that maybe part of it is mindset as well. Maybe part of it is you know, his lack of confidence, and you know, he's got it in him to really pop off, but it's about really bringing that to the table more often than not, and that is something that Ryung is going to be working on. And we'll see if he can achieve it here, as he's going for a low ground Rax. This is looking like a Rax into factory, or Rax expand into factory on the low ground. This is not 2 Rax Reaper. Okay, so this is a bit of a special build. Special Gumiho, they typically rely on this. It's a very interesting take on the low ground expand. It's very greedy, just because you're walling off very quickly here on the low ground. You're going to be safe and secure. Your production is going to be exposed in a way, so something like a Roach Rush can really punish you. But outside of that, like, yeah, it is just something you can get away with, as you do get a wall up really early on and shut down any kind of early Ling aggression. Here we go. Reaper is going to be moving out. It's going to be sending it across the map. Likewise, DRG went for a hatch gas pool. Standard opener out of DRG. Hatch gas pool into a third base. Everything looking normal, everything looking standard so far from our Zerg. Again, it was Ryung who being a little bit safe here, and I say safe, a little bit greedy as well. It's a high risk, high reward sort of thing, where your production's exposed, but at the same time, like, you got immediately a full wall of here at the natural. So yeah, it's not an opener that many Terran players play around with. I mentioned before, mainly it's Ryung, Gumiho, and Special that do whip this out. That's behind us. We are just going to be getting into our add-on swap. Ooh, okay, Papi. We have no third CC. That's what's important here. No third CC. It's going to be a straight up 1-1-1. The starport is hidden. Now, what's interesting about this, no add-on swap. No add-on swap is available because the Rax is too far away. There's no tech lab. This looks like BCs. This looks like a Viking first into a fusion core into battle cruisers. But we'll see, because we have other options, because we're going Cyclone. Okay. Huh. And it's not going to be a Viking, going to be a Liberator. It's going to be Lib Cyclone. You have my attention, Ryung. You have my attention. Okay. So we're doubling down on Cyclone production. We're going to be very aggressive. This is going to be hyper aggressive here from Ryung. This is almost a... yeah, almost... I was going to say a TvT build, but even then, TvT does this a little bit differently. So we'll see how this does turn out here. Liberator going to be rallying across the map. Cyclones have arrived. With these Cyclones, we can shut down Overlords early on. That's what we're going to be looking to shut down, and we do come across one Overlord already. The Overlord taking a lot of damage. There is no transfuse. The Overlord is going to go down, and we're going to be looking to hunt down even more. As Ryung does rotate. Oh, doesn't come across the Overlord, though. Doesn't find it. Additional Hellions are on the way. Now we have a third CC in the main. It is a delayed third. We'll see if it's going to be worth it. Bearing in mind that we only made 2 Cyclones. We didn't make more. Only 2 Cyclones, then Hellions to support. Meanwhile, we have that one Liberator making its way towards the main base. Queen is in position. Spore is on the way. So far, the Liberator doesn't do any damage. Queen's taking a lot of hits here, and we do pick off a Queen. Nice pick off there from Ryung. Trading a Hellion for a Queen. Can he get another? Oh, he will. High energy Queen as well. Big pick off there from Ryung. At the same time, Lings, they collapse in this position. Can they get the Cyclones? They cannot. The Cyclones do survive. Once again, a good trade. At the same time, 4 drones go down in the main. This Liberator popping off, getting 3 workers in the main base. Ryung trading very well here. Looking at the resources lost, he lost 2 Hellions and a Reaper for 2 Queens, an Overlord, and 22 Lings alongside all those workers. And bearing in mind that Liberator is still there in the top right. Is still available to go in once again. Meanwhile, as we divert our attention back home, Ryung, this was worth it. You know, there was obviously a lot of onus, a lot of pressure on Ryung to get damage done because of this late third. Because the third was late, we have to make up for it. We killed a couple of workers, but again, we still traded very well against the army itself. And now we're transitioning out of this into a 5-rack setup. We have 2 Raxes in the main, 3 Raxes here at the natural. It is going to be 5 in total. Pretty standard here on a 3-base economy, and we're soon to have a 3-base economy. With that third, we have the reactor on the way, and we're going into medevacs. Medevac production is going to be underway. And we're playing Bio. Important to point out, just because Ryung often does like to dabble in mech. Behind this, we have a double Evo chamber here from DRG. DRG licking his wounds, joining up, going for roaches. Okay, we have +1 range, +1 carapace, and roach speed in production. So Roach Ravager, going to be the name of the game here for DRG. It is a very safe way to play. Obviously, it doesn't scale too well as the game goes on longer, but in the mid game, Roach Ravager can be quite powerful. Can be quite strong. It can be. So the double jump towards the north. Also, big shout out to the people in the chat. Shout out to, yo, hello. Dzień dobry, siema. Kashim in the chat. Psychons. Terran Lord, the Lord of Terrans, even. Bienvenidos. Ga. Ryung is going to be pushing. Catches a couple of tumors. Gets on top of the Overlord. Roll nice pickoffs here from Ryung. Doesn't lose anything, not yet. At the same time, Liberator comes back into the main, gets 2 drone kills. Very nicely done. 2 drones will go down. At the same time, Ryung going to be pushing, maneuvering towards the center of the map, clearing up every single active tumor. Tumors are getting shut down. DRG taking the center base as a 4th with the Rich Vesting Gas Geyser. Okay. A very bold 4th base. It's very wide open here. You can attack from multiple angles, especially after you knock down these rocks. There is a lot that you can try to take advantage of here, but that is why the creep is being prioritized. Creep is being spread around this base. Here come the Widowmines and Hellbats even. Hellbats have been morphed in the army. Sims on forward as well. The Widowmines are trying to waddle on forward. They do burrow, and a couple of them are going to be getting shots off. Good splits here from DRG. Good splits overall, minimizing that splash damage. Shuts down the army, forces it back. With that, DRG going to be working on his own counterattack. 1-1 just finished up, and DRG isn't droning. He is not saturating this 4th base. He has the Rich Vesting Gas Geyser, but he is doubling down on roaches. We're making nothing but Roach Ravager. DRG hitting a very strong timing here with 1-1 on 3-base saturation. And there's nothing here. Ryung, he went for a Doom Drop. We're going for a base trade. He went for a Doom Drop across the map. We get 10 SCVs, and we are pushing in. DRG looking to try to force his way into the natural. Mine shot does go off. At the same time, Ryung popping off in the main. But DRG, he has an overwhelming army. He's pushing into the natural, and it's being evacuated. Boys are being pulled. Oh, Biles, they connect with the Marines. At the same time, the main base does go down. Ryung is getting damage done across the map, but he needs economic damage. He needs to push into the natural. The move command! No! The move command was a little bit brutal there, and this army is going to get shut down. Barely anything left. At the same time, DRG is popping off the natural, shutting down the E-base. 2-2. It's not going to finish. It's going to burn down. Ryung, he's racing back home with what little he has left. And yeah, both E-bays are denied. Both upgrades are denied. Good tank position here from Ryung. Ryung, he will hold on to his main. But what about everything else? Oh, the mines! As we can see, Ryung trying to chase down the Roach Ravager, and he does trade out. It does clean up quite a number of them. Oh my god, the piles. He will clean this up, but what does Ryung have left? Ryung, he is down to a third base that's empty, a natural that's empty. He's down to 34 SCVs. Did save a number of workers that he is now transferring towards his natural. That is true. He is transferring over, but DRG, he's comfortably on 3 base saturation on 58 workers. And here we go, DRG coming in with the second wave, looking to close this out. He does have high ground vision. GG gets called as the tank gets piled down, and DRG will take game number 2 and the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to DRG for taking the series here. And game 1 was looking quite dominant, right? It was a quite comfortable game in game number 1 for DRG, but game number 2 was back and forth, and Ryung, he had his moments. He had a really strong start. He had a really strong opener with his Cyclones and with his Liberators. It was very impressive. Unfortunately, he did overextend when he pushed into the center base, and after Ryung had lost a bunch of his army, remember, that's when Ryung did back off, rotate over, and drop into the main. As he was backing off, as he was dropping into the main base with his entire army, bam, 1-1 timing, DRG went all in. He went all in on, I think it was like 63 or 64 drones, like 3 base saturation. DRG just sent everything across the map, went for the all in, and was able to break Ryung. Meanwhile, Ryung did kill a base, he did kill the main, but that was not enough. Killing the main base was not enough damage, and with that, DRG did get out of control. With that, congratulations, and we're going to be following DRG here into the next round. My condolences to Ryung. He had a great weekend of StarCraft, but is going to be knocked out here in the first round of the ESL Open Cup. Again, it just goes to show how brutal this tournament is, and how brutal these early rounds can be in the ESL Open Cups. The best of the best, Pappy. They're here. They pop off.